Good evening and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this evening. Let me just double check this and just to see what's going on. And just need to check that this, turn off that, and we're all good to go. I'm just reading some of the comments whilst we get ready. And I need to restart. Anyway, good evening and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this evening. Big shout out to Andy Boy. Big shout out to Andy Boy for coming One Celtic Fans View member this evening. And oh, what's happened? Somebody's knocked up. And then a big shout out to Scott McWilliam also for becoming a One Celtic Fans View member this evening. The audio needs to come down just a little bit, and that should be just a little bit better. Should be just like that. Yeah, that's better. Yeah. Anyway, perfect. So, what we're saying to this evening, let's jump into the comment section first of all. Jump into the comment section first of all. Up was Andy Boy, who become a member tonight. Tam Mac, Lorna was in the house. Good evening, Lorna. And John Brown was in the house. Lorna, James Bentley was in the house. Paul was in the house. Afternoon, you Paul evening. Sorry, evening. Scott McWilliam became a 175 Review member this evening. I just need to pin that. It's done. And Gemma was in the house. Even Gemma, John's in the house from sunny Tenerife. It's a little bit over. No, it's not. It's just it's hazy. Evening says Jim. And if yep, Gemma with a little bun in the oven. And then there's a here DJ Singy's in the house, even you mate. Slaven's in the house, Big Dom's in the house, Paul Beard's in the house, another channel member. And Edward's in the house, who really cares in the house. Paul McGuire's in the house, bringing the champions flag. And just jumped ship from the Stephen Bell is in the house. John's in the house. Lorna's in the house. Gemma, late Lerner. That's a name and a half. Paul's in the house, and J Rez is in the house also. Is in the house also. So we'll listen to Brendan Rodgers' interview. What is wrong with that? Right. Because it sounds fine on this end, but then desktop. There, is that better? And media source desktop. Yeah, that's better. It's getting feedback. It's done. Feedback. Carly is in the house. Andy's left. Andy's left. Andy who? Yeah, because we're all looking well. Yeah, I hope you're all doing well. Sounds grand, perfect. Bold strategy going into the new season with the same squad as last season. We'll talk about that in a second because I think, having watched the interview with Brendan Rodgers, yeah, it does sound really loud, doesn't it? Let me just turn it down a little bit. See if that makes a little bit of a difference. Turn that down just a little bit. Don't know how the settings have changed. No idea. I mean, there's that switched itself back on. No, it's not. What? There's no even fireworks. start the night. Spanish. No, it's going to be a long night. I'm sure you just do this when I'm live. You just try to get attention. That's a bit better. Right, perfect. Just a whisper. Slaving you out more about it. Turn up your volume. Big Dom, awful sound. Sounds like iBox tally. Too much buzz. Turn it back up a bit. Oh, for goodness. Turn it back up to there. That should be a little bit better. The volumes are all good on the check sound. Wait a minute. Right. Wait 2 seconds till I just. Anyway, what did you all think of Brendan Rodgers' interview this afternoon? I thought that it was. Do you know what? It was after that Zoom call this afternoon. The settings have all changed after being on Zoom. Bloody software. So you got to do Zoom calls for work. It's all apps. Just checking something because it sounds fine on this end. Anyway, we'll sort it like sound and crow. Check. That's fine. Right, anyway, let's close that down. That's good now. Anyway, Dyson Maida. Dyson is still carrying an injury from the Chelsea game. Nico Kuhn is back for the game tomorrow. And first of all, I want to talk about the game on Sunday because the North Club Celtic, the Green Brigades, have put out a tweet this afternoon saying thanks to all the fans who've contributed to the full stadium tifo for Sunday. Hundreds of volunteers spent the week setting up the tifo to welcome the champions to the field and add to the spectacle of the day. As with any tifo, parts of the success is the surprise. Therefore, we kindly ask fans and staff who have had access to Celtic Park before Sunday, respect the wishes of the Celtic support and organisers to not share details of the tifo with anyone. If you'd like to contribute, you still can do it. And then it's got the GoFundMe link. And I think I'll just put the GoFundMe. The target was 12,000. They have collected £11,521. That's a fantastic amount of money for the tifo. And let's face it, everyone will join in. Whether you like the Green Brigade or not, everyone will join in with the tifo. I'm like, Baz, sorry mate, don't worry about that, Jerry. But there is the GoFundMe page for the tifo. Shite sound, Baz. Yeah, I know, we'll need to work on that later because we're in the middle of it. It's fine on this end. It seems to be. It's not sound. Yeah, it's fine on this end. It seems to be YouTube that has issues. I pronounce it tifo. Tifo. Right. Let me just double check one more thing before. Where is it? Da, 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 da. I'll just do a search. Inputs. Turn that down a bit. Microphone. Turn that back up. And main volume. It's ever since I put Zoom on this laptop this afternoon. We seem to have an issue. Sounds a bit like you've got frayed lips. I'll need to reset it all tomorrow. I'm not too close to the mic. It's software that I put in the laptop this afternoon. Anyway, the North Curve have put out that statement today, which is interesting. They want to raise some more money. They are 11,521. And breaking news this afternoon also is concerning Kyogo Furiashi. Today, CAA base announced that we're very excited to welcome Japanese international and Celtic forward at Kyogo Furiashi to CAA base. Kyogo's been a prolific since moving to Glasgow 3 years ago, and he's been pivotal in winning the league and 3 titles in a row. Now, why is it important for us to take note that joining the CAA base could be a bad thing for Celtic? And I think it's a bad thing from a Celtic point of view, purely for the fact that it's the same agent that was Ange Postecoglou's agent. They were Ange Postecoglou's agent who moved him on. And I don't think they have Celtic's best interest at heart, really. So it's going to be interesting to see. And I think if Kyogo's going to move, he'll move next season. But with him getting that new agency, I think it is a worrying time for Celtic, especially the fact that we only have one striker at the club. We do have that one striker. And let's face it, they were working on Ange's behalf before the end of the Scottish Cup final, and when Ange moved on. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were expecting to try and move Kyogo on either at the Christmas window or next summer. But ultimately, we're in a position where we start the season with only the one striker. What can we take away from what Brendan Rodgers said today? Well, obviously, Matt O'Reilly is nowhere near leaving Celtic. Brendan Rodgers said, look, he's seen players that he has worked with, younger players, been sold this transfer window for 30 million, players that are in the same age bracket as Matt O'Reilly. He reckons that they need to pay the value of the player and not the value of the league that they find themselves in. And that other microphone's working now. And there's a fucking surprise. Why is that working now? So yeah, asked about Adam Ida joining before Sunday. Brendan Rodgers then said, no idea. Did you get that? No idea. Adam Ida. No idea. England is on fire. Oh, well, what a shame. The Green Ridge Legends, yeah, they're that. Shit next week. Mikey Johnson will be our only striker. I just hope that with Kyogo changing agents right before the season starts, and right before the end of the transfer window isn't an ominous situation. That would be, and I said a couple of weeks ago, there's a nightmare scenario that could happen at Celtic. Matt O'Reilly leaves before the end of the transfer window, and so does Kyogo. What if an offer comes in for Kyogo? I mean, I know the club have said he's not for sale, but changing agents 2 or 3 days before the season starts can never be a good thing as far as the club are concerned. For me, that's a player, there could be nothing in it, but agents weren't paid. Agents weren't paid. And agents get paid when there's a transfer. Changing agency doesn't mean that Kyogo is looking for a transfer. He's looking to move on for Celtic at some point in the future. I'm not saying it's this window. But I just hope that the nightmare scenario that I suggested could happen doesn't happen. Poor job expresses everyone's for sale at the club. Yeah, we know this, but when you've only got one striker, he signed a new deal beginning of last summer. Now his agent at the time would have signed that deal for him. Would have got him to sign that deal. Why then change agent a year later into that contract? Adam, either the guy for Aberdeen, let Kyogo go home. I don't think he'll go home. I think Kyogo wants a hit at the big riches in another league. And by changing agents, Kyogo will know that he's got one good transfer left in him. One good transfer to make 40, 50 grand a week. And he could get that quite easily. I mean, he could, well, maybe not 50 grand a week. He could maybe get, I mean, he could double his wages, be leaving Celtic. That's for sure. The board would sell their own wains if they could do, says Lorna. The board have sold their own wains. Peter Lorwell sold his son down the river. And then got him sacked. It's okay selling players, but we need to be able to replace them. Brendan Rodgers spoke about that today. Spoke about the fact that, and by the way, that has to be a record press conference for Brendan Rodgers. I've never seen Brendan Rodgers go to a 25-minute mark with a press conference. Never. I don't think, I mean, I watch every single press conference that goes out on a Thursday, Friday, and I've never had to sit and listen to 25 minutes of questioning. Obviously, it's edited down a bit so that it's quicker, but it's one thing for sure. Brendan earned his money today, and I always do trust Brendan Rodgers, and he does have the best interest at the club at heart. No matter what some fans still think, Brendan does have the interest of the club at heart, and he wants us to progress. He wants us to progress in Europe, which is interesting. Because for us to progress in Europe and to get into a knockout stage in Europe, we need better players. Whilst it's all fine bringing in an absolutely fantastic goalkeeper in Schmeichel, you need to be able to score at the other end. And we seem to lack in that department. And we've only won one game at home in the Champions League in as many years. And I think the first thing that we need to do, before we even think about trying to get into the later stages of any Champions League, I mean, we'll play more games this year, but we need to start making Celtic Park a fortress. And that comes down to fans and the players, and especially the fans, because there was times last season that people were complaining about there were sections of the ground you could hear the sweetie rappers. But that's modern day football. It is all about the start, and it's all about being positive. Brendan said that he wants everyone within the club and the support to pull together, because together we're stronger. Together we are stronger. And we're unstoppable when we're together. We've seen that. We've seen that last season when we weren't together as a club and a fan base, and the Green Brigade were excluded from the club, the grounds of the club. The performance of the team at that point of the season wasn't great. The performance of the team at that point of the season wasn't great. The atmosphere on the ground was terrible, and it shows that when we're not together, we're not at our strongest. So let's get behind the team. The board won't make an appearance on the pitch. No board member will walk onto the pitch on Sunday. I think that they know how the fans feel. It's usually the chairman that comes up and unfurls the flag, which would have been Peter Lawwell, because he's non-executive chairman. But I think them getting in Jim Craig to unfurl the flag is playing on heartstrings. Is playing on heartstrings. Whilst an absolutely fantastic servant to the club, it's playing on the heartstrings and it's covering their own arses so that there isn't any disruption for Flag Day. It will be a day that we need to get behind the team and get back to do what we do best, and that's winning games of football. And with that being said, it's that time of the night where we get our predictions in for the weekend. The first one of the season. The first one of the season. Get your predictions in the comments section. Yeah, get the predictions in the comments section. Let me just check this. I'm not putting mine in first. So put your predictions. That microphone is. What is different? Input. Audio. Audio capture. Default. We go. Check that. And, like, give me your predictions in the comments section. First up is Paul Baird. No, it wasn't actually. There was Sandwich Boy. Sandwich Boy was in first. No, Paul Maguire. Paul Maguire was in for first, going for 4-0 Celtic. Going for 4-0 Celtic. Sandwich Boy is going 3-0 Celtic. John is going 0.0 hoops. Big Dom says, I like the board to give the fans reassurance on recruitment. I think Brendan did that today. Big Dom. John Cullen is saying 3-0. 3-0 Celtic gets it in there. If the board had major shareholders and doing what they should quit and sell their shares. Yep. Time Bandit says 5-0 Celtic. Mark says 5-0 Celtic. Do you think we're going to score that many goals? 1-0. Down 1-0 early, lots of beds, lots of wet beds, and then 1-5-1. Who really cares? Says 2-0. Keith Robertson says 3-0. Sean says 3-0. Robert Watson says 4-0. As long as we win 4-0, that'll do. 4-1 Celtic. Sean, who is one of our members also, he says 4-0. 4-0. There's a lot of people going for 4-0, 3-1, 3-0, 2-0. Check that sound shit on. I know, do it on one side. That sounds fine on this side, that's the problem. Thomas says 7-0, my wife says 3-0. I think your wife's closer to the correct score, Thomas. Sorry to burst your bubble, but you're thinking with your head. Your missus is thinking with her head. You're thinking with your heart. Carly's going for 4-0. Gemma's going for 3-1. Andy Boy's going for 3-1. Clean sheet. We have to keep Casper now. 2-0. My missus said. Low says Paul. John's going for 4-0. Who really cares? Says it'll be the usual 10 men behind the ball and Celtic trying to break them down. Lorna Gallagher's going for 3-0. Yobaz says Kaiser. Noodles 4-0 says Noodles. It'll be an improvement on the Chelsea score. An improvement on the Chelsea score. 4-1 we beat Chelsea. Do you think that we'll score more than what we did? I don't think so. League business is always a hard one, and when it comes to the first game of the season, I think it could be 3 or 4. I'm going to go for 4. That's I don't know. Actually, it's a weird one. It depends on the team that gets put out. Obviously, there's a lot of players just coming back. Will Paulo Bernardo step back into the team? I think he will if. Well, you don't know actually, because there's nowhere for Paulo to go into that midfield. Because you've got Matt O'Reilly. I mean, you've got Rio Hatate, Matt O'Reilly, and Callum McGregor in the midfield. And it's generally Rio Hatate that comes off for Paulo Bernardo to come off, or Matt O'Reilly. So that's an interesting one. I don't think Paulo Bernardo will get a game. I think Paulo Bernardo will be paraded to the fans. Paraded to the fans. Rangers Radio. What? Rangers Radio. Kaiser's going 4-0 the Hoops. A lot of 4-0s. Paul's going for 3-0. Gem and the Legend. 4-0 says Glasgow's green and white. The team has something to prove, especially against Kilmarnock. They basically stopped us getting the treble last season. And I think that the players that were, well, there's only Kasper Schmeichel. The interesting one for me, will be who is on the bench. What goalkeeper is on the bench? Will Scott Bain be on the bench? And if he's not, what should happen with Scott Bain? Scott Bain will be kept at Celtic because he's needed for the Champions League quota. And I do think you do get 3 keepers in the Champions League, if I'm right. I can't remember. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see who makes the bench this weekend. And I think it will be Scott Bain because he was here last season. And the young keeper will be brought on at half-time, probably to be paraded in front of the fans, the adoring fans, to keep us all nice and happy at half-time. Big Dom, Kelly will be knackered from the Europe game. Yeah, I think they will be. That's even more reason, Big Dom, for thinking that they're going to sit back. They're going to think, we had a really tough game on Thursday evening. We're just going to sit and soak it up. And Derek McInnes will have drilled that into the players. Sit and soak it up and hit on the break. And I don't think that they'll be able to hit on the break. Simple as that. I don't think they'll be able to hit on the break at all. This time, a few months till we clip machines. This time, in a few months, will be clean sheet Casper. Clean sheet Casper. That'll be interesting if that happens. Right, let's see what other Celtic news is kicking about. Obviously, that one with Kyogo. I don't think that is beneficial to Celtic. Matt O'Reilly said that Brendan Rodgers is nowhere near leaving Celtic. He says, look, he's got another 12 years. Brendan Rodgers says, look at it this way. Matt O'Reilly has got 12 years left of his contract, of his playing career. He's 23. If he plays to his 35, he's got 12 years left in his playing career. That's a long time as a professional footballer and a long time to play at the top. Not many players go straight to the top at his age. He can stay at Celtic, Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers was telling everyone that, look, if a bid doesn't come in for Matt, it's okay, it's fine. And we all know that. But whether we get 20 to 30 million for him, if we get offers in, Matt will be off, that's for sure. But anyway, he was then asked about Adam Ida and asked if he would be in before Sunday, because that's what the speculation was all about. Speculation that Adam would be up. It's not going to happen. I said it wouldn't happen. And Brendan says, not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of that it's going to happen before Sunday. Do you expect transfer business to go right up to the wire on deadline day? And Brendan Rodgers says, I'm quite relaxed about it. I'm not going to get listening to the outside noise. Well, he obviously does look at some of the media, Celtic media stuff, and some of the podcasts and stuff, where he wouldn't mention it. And he must know that the fans are getting a bit a bit on tenderhooks, we'll say, to put it nicely. It says there are so many parts of the movement of the transfer window. It's not just the case that if we needed a player, we can pick them. It's very complex. It said if it was that way, we would have all the players in just now. Clearly, a manager, there's been a lot of players that have been away at the Euros. So when those players then come back into full training, and you've got to remember, the Scottish League is one of the earlier leagues for starting. There's a lot of, I mean, it's only the English. The English is another week away, isn't it? But yeah, Scotland generally starts before a lot of the European leagues do. So with that being said, once all the players are back, and Brendan Rodgers said you have the bloated squads. Once you have the bloated squads, that's when you find that the transfer business gets done. When it comes down to the nitty gritty. And he said he's nice and relaxed with it. And he made me more relaxed also. Tagged you on a tweet on Xbox. Should I start? When did you tag me on it? There's loads of notifications. Well, couldn't be fit for Sunday? Nope. When did you tag me? Can I see it, Kaiser? It's not mentions. Took out the mentions. No, the only one I'm seeing is someone asking about verified. No. Kaiser. I'll look for it after this. I can't find it. Twitter's playing for you. That's no. Anyway, right. Let's jump back into Kaiser. Green and White says, I'm sick of the Ida carry on. I think a lot of us are. Mark says, we need a big striker, especially after selling O. Kyogo gets bullied in some games. Yes, he does that. Just a minute ago. It's not. Still updating. No. You mustn't have tagged me. You must have tagged. Kaiser. You've just got a load of reposted stuff. Replies. Norwich. No. No, you sure you tagged me? At Celtic News video. Can't see it, mate. Anyway, let's all put down a big marker on Sunday. Yes, I think we should. So Kaiser's pegging Baz. I think he is. He's taking the piss. Baz wishes. Kaiser, I'd teabag you. Time Man, it says, I don't think either situation is Celtic's fault. It's just Norwich making asses because they don't want to lose a quality player. Even if Ada signs, that's the same squad as last season, and we aren't stronger. Brendan Rodgers says he wants to make us stronger when it comes to European football. He knows that there's still 4 weeks left of the transfer window, and he hopes by the end of the transfer window we are stronger and in a stronger position. In a stronger position. So I am going for 3-0 Celtic tomorrow. I think it's going to be a tough game. I better just put that in the comments. Jesus. 3-0 Celtic is my scoreline. Easiest league title in years coming up. If that mod still stand no chance of beating us to it, roll on Sunday and let the meltdown begin. I'm not going to say anything until I start seeing their scorelines. I'm not going to comment on anything that's came out of Ibrox because I've never watched any of their stuff. I don't know any players that they've signed. I don't know any players that they've signed. I've never looked at any of their media. Um, is the game not on Sunday? Yes, our game's on Sunday. Their game's on Saturday. Um, I'll wait till we're about 3 or 4 games into the season. Once you're 3 or 4 games into the season, you can't tell anything. Let's just get the first quarter of the game out of the season underway, and then at that point you can kind of tell if there's going to be a title race or not. And hopefully, from our point of view, um, hopefully we'll be about 5 or 6 points in front come October. Nothing's won in October, remember? We were behind at one point in October. So anyway, the meltdown starts Saturday, 4-1 to Hearts as Free Palestine. I'm not slagging them off until they drop points tomorrow. Done that before. I'm not slagging them off until they make a fucking arse of themselves. Anyway, let me see. I'll just shut these down. Okay, shut that one. I did that. Anyway, Celtic TV tomorrow is starts at 4 o'clock. Starts at 4 o'clock. The game is at 4:30 kickoff. 4:30 on a Sunday is ridiculous. That's 5:30 my time. That's pub o'clock, especially on a Sunday. Half time, we'll look back on a special trip to the States. Celtic won all the pre-season games, and it was a successful trip. Not only that, they have live exclusive, but we'll have the game on demand every single minute wherever you are in the world. It's usually delayed by about 5 minutes. Anyway, the former Lisbon Lion Jim Craig will be on Celtic TV before the game as he unfurls the flag. Jim Craig, absolutely fantastic guy when it comes to promoting Celtic, and everything about him is just brilliant. But I think the club are just pulling at heartstrings with getting that one up. Anyway, Vincent O'Brien says 2-0. He's going for 2-0. Blaming Norwich is a wild take. Ida's Celtic's fault. Yeah, because we never got the contract written correctly. I'm not slagging it off. Says Carly. Yep, Free Palestine says exactly. All the players are at the top of their game of a decent team. One for the decent striker and a left back. We're jamming. I think we need more than a decent striker and a left back. I think we need, in all honesty, Brendan Rodgers will want to get in a left back. And by the way, we're still meant to be looking at Ben Doak. We're still meant to be looking at the guy for Wolves, but we're also only going to let him go. It's as simple as that. We need somebody to take over from Scales, because I think Scales, when it comes to the Champions League level, is found wanting. I know you did see it in spells in the Chelsea game. I just think when it comes to playing a team that are well into their season, Liam Scales is the weak link in the defence. And that's not a bad thing. It's nothing against Scales. He did fantastic last season. And I did say in August, I said, look, Scales is going to be up there for player of the season. But when it comes to the Champions League, I just think we need someone with a little bit of more experience. I still think that we need, if Matt O'Reilly leaves, we need an absolutely awesome midfielder in. Paulo Bernardo will feel that he would get his chance then, but we need someone that has played at the highest level that can compete in the Champions League and make us fearful in the Champions League, if not abroad away days, but definitely at Celtic Park. When it comes down to strikers, we need 2 strikers. It is as simple as that. Anyway, right, I'm going to go and get this laptop sorted. I'm going to need to reboot it all and take Zoom off, because it's ever since I installed Zoom this afternoon that the laptop is went to pot. Never do work calls on your laptop that you need for going live. Anyway, there's been only 743. This is why I never do lives on a Friday night, because Friday night lives are absolutely wash. Everybody's got other things on their mind on a Friday night. And anyway, Scales is going to kick on again this season. Let's hope he finds another level. Let's hope that any player that comes in for the left back means that our current left back can find a new level also. And on that note, there's currently been 748. Geez, that's down like over 1,300 on what it's been all week. That's why I never do lives on a Friday night. Just thought I'd do one just for a change. Have a fantastic evening. I'm not going to try and fix this laptop. And on that note, hasta luego, wherever you are. Fucking Zoom.